Welcome back to the Toolbox Podcast. Today we have a special episode. No guest, but we're going to be dropping a lot of information in this. The Lazy Creator Blueprint. There's a lot of mental hurdles when it comes to creating content. And I feel like over the years of having a lot of ups and downs and different seasons of going hard with creating content and not doing content so well, I've learned a lot of different techniques on just how to simplify the process. But also, I think a lot of people when they start making content, you kind of just want you wish you had somebody who could just tell you, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do that. I've made the mistakes for you. I've done a lot of the exploration for you, and I'm still experimenting and still growing my creative routine and creative practice and my different social media channels. And so the goal of this is to essentially make the most efficient lazy course that you may ever get. And I'm going to give you a peek into all of it. Not even just a peek. I'm going to show you literally everything I have so far, everything that's written up as the outline. And then you can choose to just, stick with the video and take what you learned today and hopefully apply it as a creative and a creator. But if you're wanting this long term, you can also look forward to the actual course coming out. So it's called the Lazy Creator Blueprint. And if we dive in right now, it's all in Notion. That's where I've been organizing and writing, and I'm currently writing it. Like I have some to-dos and little notes and things that I'm excited to keep adding. So you're seeing very much the work in progress and the sort of early look at things. But like I already said, in the intro of the course, essentially the most efficient course you'll ever take. I just really want to make it super actionable. A lot of courses pack in hours and hours of resources and footage and different things. And a lot of the value of that course is the hours and hours of knowledge that you're getting from that person. You'll be able to, maybe you buy $1,000 course and you'll never need to buy another course ever again. This is not that course. Ideally, even in this video, you will get a lot of takeaways that you can, act upon really quickly. But essentially what I was getting at was that this course shouldn't take you very long to skim through and shouldn't take you very long to start acting on. So hopefully even after this video, you'll have all the knowledge you need. And then, yeah. So you're going to learn how to generate strong ideas that carry your content. Some of that's still work in progress. So you're going to see what I have so far. The simplest way to script, shoot, and edit. A lot of the decisions I've made is me making decisions for you so that, you're prioritizing the things that I think you should be prioritizing. And I'm taking a lot of liberty in doing that because I want to make it a super efficient, lazy course. I'm going to make decisions for you. There's a lot of nuance with all of this. There's a lot of exceptions, but we're going to ignore a lot of the exceptions. And if you want to just, cut to the chase, a little bit of a shortcut to learning my philosophy around creating content and hopefully make it easier for you to create content, especially if you're a creative. This is going to answer a lot of things for you and tell you exactly what to do, which a lot of people, mostly lazy people, want. And we're all a little lazy. And then we'll touch on how to stop procrastinating, overthinking. There's a whole module on the embarrassment and the worry of judgment and all of that. So by the end of the course, you'll have everything you need to start making content. That's the intro to the Lazy Creator Blueprint, which I'm really excited about. But let's dive into things. It's, again, I'll caveat, it's still very work in progress. Everything I've got so far, I'm pretty happy with, but there's some things I'm still working on. For example, the simplest way to script, shoot, and edit. There's some things there I'm still tweaking, generating strong ideas. I've got a lot here I'm going to share with you about ideas specifically, but I want to make it even more actionable and a little bit more catered to what I think it should be. So, Module 1, Ideation and Scripting. Lesson 1 is the power of a strong idea. And the key here is that if the idea of the video is strong, it's going to carry a lot of the weight for you. It's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So if the idea is strong, and that's probably the crux of the entire lazy creator philosophy, is if you spend more time on making sure you have a very interesting concept, or a concept, an idea that is super valuable to people, it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then you won't need to make up for a bad idea with flashy video, flashy text, flashy VFX. If the idea is strong, you can keep it super simple. You can keep the editing super simple. You can keep the VFX. You don't have to do any, effects on the text. You don't have to do any sort of flashy transitions. Strong idea. Let's just jump into lesson 1. So why the idea matters most. I already talked about that. And you're going to notice too, this is my outline, but as I started writing it out, I started to condense all of the text so that it could almost just be the course. I might even release it before I put all the videos in, because I want all these bullets to be clear and, value dense, so that you get all the information you need. So there's not much more to say. Why the idea matters most: a strong idea engages your audience, simplifies your process, and keeps you consistent. If your idea is valuable, you don't need flashy visuals or over the top editing. How to create strong ideas the lazy way. This is one of the, I have it highlighted, the kind of under construction lessons that I'm still working on. I want to make it super actionable for you, give you a bunch of ideas, what makes a good idea. And one of the reasons why I care so much about the idea and I talk about ideas so much is because of my profession as an art director in advertising, where my entire job is to essentially come up with ideas all day, every day, that will make great ads and hopefully get people's attention. And ads now could mean anything from coming up with an idea for a video, coming up with an idea for a print ad, something static, something like on a billboard, or it could be coming up with ideas for stunts. If the idea is strong, you strip away all of the fluff, you simplify, you make it so you're not compensating and covering up that great idea with all these flashy visuals. And that's why it's a lazy philosophy for me, is because that's where you're going to waste a lot of time. That's the huge time suck, is all of the editing, the post production, adding captions, adding text, adding, effects and things. There are some of those that you need to do, and I'll tell you exactly which ones you should do, like the bare minimum. But when I say the bare minimum, it's because you don't have to do more than that. You can get to, a certain level, and it's more than fine because your idea is strong. Anyways, how to create strong ideas. I'm going to have a bunch of examples in the course. And I don't like these examples right now. I wrote out all of these different little sort of constructs and little tools to think about to give you just an easy idea. And then I just asked ChatGPT to give me an example for right now. And then I'm going to go back in and actually do good examples, because robots just struggle with the actual idea that is interesting and will actually grab someone's attention. And so one thing that's not in here that I can talk about right now too is just like something that I do a lot in advertising is come up with ideas. And what an idea is in the world of like branding and advertising, in my mind, and when you talk with ad creatives, when they talk about ideas, they're talking about a concept. And all a concept really is and really needs to be is the combination of two or more things. You're taking a thing that's inspiring, you're taking another thing, maybe it's a message, maybe it's something from the brand, maybe it's just another cool thing that's inspiring. You mash them together and you have a new concept. And the new, the ways the ways you reconnect things and remix things is what creates new concepts. And so there's a lot more that I want to like work on in this section. But I think the other thing is kind of like working in how hooks, how these ideas need to be really interesting and how to make those interesting. That's something I want to work into this. But for now, we can just like read through some of these. Share a counterintuitive truth. That's something I think about a lot because I just love to ask why. Why is this the convention? Why is this the way things are done? And why aren't we doing it this way? Sometimes the truth that people think is the truth is just the thing that's been done forever. And so ask, why. Secret to being consistent isn't discipline, it's lowering the bar. The That's a different topic, and maybe we get into it in later in the lessons, but I really do believe in just like lowering the bar, lowering the stakes, because your taste is going to eventually elevate things. Your practice and the ways you put in reps are going to improve your content over time. So yeah, if you want to be consistent, you have to lower the bar. we're spending way too much time on some of these little things. Unpack a hidden insight, teach a skill in one sentence. That's something that I do a lot with my content. Expose a common mistake, leverage career or creative insights, share a tool or shortcut. Those last two are going to be some of the big things in this course that I'll just tell you should do. If you want to be a lazy creator, utilize your profession to fuel all of your content because naturally in your job you're going to be learning things and getting better at things and getting skills and tools that someone new to that job or new to that role doesn't have. So naturally you know something other people don't, and so there's some sort of value that people would find interesting or people would want to watch your video for. But that's essentially lesson one. And there are four more lessons in module one. Make it 30 seconds. I can go over this really quickly because it's all about value density. And when we talk about value, it's like you're watching a video because you want to get something out of it, whether that's entertainment or inspiration or information. Whether it's any of those things, it's value. And the second that value dips, you're probably not going to want to watch the video anymore because you're on social media. You're just going to swipe to the next thing. So for a lazy creator, I'm going to just tell you right now, you should lean on the side of just information. If you have information that other people don't know, it's going to be so much easier to provide value. And then this lesson is just telling you, just make it 30 seconds, especially when you start. 30 to 45 seconds ish should be your goal because even if you do go over, the the goal of making your videos just 30 seconds, and we're talking about, and I might have not made that clear at the very beginning, but I'm talking about short form video mostly in this course, but a lot of these principles can apply to other things, especially even like writing. But the goal of just making everything short is going to force you to make it more value dense. It's going to force you to cut out the fluff, force you to cut out any part that people would find uninteresting. And it doesn't mean your videos have to be like super fast. Um, because sometimes, an interesting thing does deserve a little bit of breathing room, but that interesting thing really needs to have enough value to compensate for, the time you're giving it. And and if you're making information style value videos, value based videos that rely on the information that you're giving people, um, I just think keep it short, make it as easy as possible on yourself. And then the other big benefit of that, of making your videos super short, is they're just going to be so much easier to edit. And you're going to be able to put in so many more reps and put a lot more content out there to, spread that out over time because you're keeping it tight and short and, You think about a 30-second video, that's really not that long. And one of the things I'm going to add in here is all of my scripts from the last like 6 months of doing videos, going from 1,900 followers to now over 50,000 followers. I'll show you all my scripts, and it's wild how short they can be to reach a very valuable 30 seconds of content that people are going to want to watch. There's a pro tip here that I wrote. Ask yourself, what's something I can explain in 30 seconds or less? Break larger topics into smaller pieces if needed. And that's a big piece too. If it is getting longer, think about, oh, could this be broken up so that I can, just focus on one part of this first. And then lesson 3, script your videos word for word. This is one of those decisions I'm going to just make for you if you're a creative and you want to start making content. And I'm just going to tell you right now, you probably don't have a lot of time, especially if you're working full time or if you have a family. And scripting your videos word for word is going to save you so much editing time later. So I'm just going to tell you right now, if you want to do it the lazy way, and that's what this course is all about. Script your videos word for word. It removes hesitation, makes the shooting faster. Like, I can sit down, and if I have it scripted well, I just turn on my phone, and I even just use a teleprompter, which we will get to. There's apps for that, and CapCut has that baked in. I can sit down, go through once. Sometimes the first time I read through the script, it's more than enough for posting that video. You give it a couple tries, and then 10, 15 minutes later, I'm done the actual video shooting, the actual recording part of things. So that's why I think scripting is so important. The other part too, and it's a benefit of both relying on ideas and relying on scripting, is those are the pieces of all of this process that you can do anywhere, especially if you're working 9 to 5. You can do it when you just you come up with an idea while you're daydreaming at work and you just quickly jot it down on your phone, or you can daydream and come up with some good ideas while you're on your lunch break. Those are things you can do. I've just found that editing during that time frame, trying to edit during your lunch break, trying to shoot during your lunch break, is not really easy to do, and doesn't really happen often. So I usually, when I was working full time, 9 to 5, and I have been, my last day is tomorrow. Um, that's the only time I had to think of things and to come up with ideas, was the in between time. So scripting just helps a lot and makes it. If you focus your energy there, you don't have to focus your energy elsewhere. So, how to script efficiently: keep it conversational, short sentences. They're a lot easier to read in a teleprompt. They also just sound more interesting. Sometimes you'll think, "Oh, this sounds robotic," um, or it looks robotic to read, but honestly, like when you're watching a video, people don't really care if it's that conversational. You want to keep it natural and keep it authentic, but also people, I think, when they're watching videos and it's like, oh, thank you for not wasting my time and just getting right to right to the part that I wanted. So keep it short. You don't have to add in a lot of fluff. Aim for 70 to 90 words if you've got a word counter, but also I'm going to add in a bunch of my scripts so you could see kind of like a rough estimate. You could compare, like, oh, this looks like a 30-second video if I'm kind of talking at the pace that Jason talks at, or you'll kind of figure out for yourself how long of scripts would kind of make for a 30 to 45-second video. The last little lazy creator tip that I added was, I get a lot of people won't want to read off a teleprompter. That might not be natural for a lot of people, or you just don't want to use a teleprompter. Maybe that's more complicated. For me, I love just reading it because I've gotten better at making reading the words more natural. I've learned how to, look off to the side, or it's because I know the script so well, you're kind of like reading it but also not really reading it, almost just like using your peripherals to read it. So if you don't want to use teleprompter, go sentence by sentence. And what's really nice, I'll show you right now, in apps like if you're doing this on your iPhone, there's now you click record, you can just pause. There's a little pause button on the side right there. So you could go sentence by sentence, pause, look at your script, keep recording, pause, look at your scripting, like go back and forth. You can do that really easy in CapCut because you just like TikTok or Reels, you hold or you tap for recording and then it records, and then you can stop it and then keep going, and it all keeps it in one clip. I'll delete that later. You can go sentence by sentence. It's really not a big difference. I just feel like I save a ton of time using a teleprompter. And then the last lesson 4 is one that I'm still crafting a bunch. How to grab attention in 3 seconds. So this is going to relate to the idea section a lot. Maybe I'll even pull it into lesson 1 because that's going to be the hook is really important. And you hear people talk about hooks so much, and this is a little bit of an aside. Um, hooks get so associated with social media content that it starts to feel like, oh, hook is synonymous with clickbait. And it's not. It's really not. Hook is a word that journalists and people writing movies and TV shows and thinking of ideas, people and advertising people especially, have been talking about hooks for years, for decades. The hook is whatever is going to catch people's attention and hold their attention all the way through a piece of content. And in the past, content wasn't, the word we use. It was like hold people through an article or reading, a video or whatever. So that's kind of just like a getting up, got to get off my soapbox because it's just like it's not a pet peeve, but it's just something that I find really interesting that hooks are becoming so synonymous with, being clickbait. And I mean, that's kind of what clickbait is it's, some sort of hook to get you to click on an article. But the problem is it doesn't have the second part of that hook, which is it's got to catch your attention and hold your attention through a video. So that's really the crux of a hook. And when you're asking yourself, is this idea good? Advertising creative directors used to ask me a lot, like, what's the hook here? They just say, what's the hook? And I didn't really understand that at first. And it's really just like, what is that thing that's going to really pull you in and hold you? And it's so important on social media. And obviously that's why it's become more synonymous with social media and short form content, is because viewers are swiping and thumb scrolling so quickly that it's so important that you catch people's attention the first 3 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. There's like a spectrum. It's not like there's a time period like, oh, 3 seconds is up, they're done. But there's, viewer attention is going to drop pretty quickly. And I want to add some stuff in here just to make it super easy on how you could make your own hooks, but I'll probably just drop in a bunch of hooks templates as well. But you could ask a surprising question, state a counterintuitive truth. I really think about the word counterintuitive a lot because I don't know, I just use that as a tool for my ideas a lot. What is that thing that's going to make you go, oh, wait, like, what is this about? They went against the grain, or that's not what I usually hear. And it's going to make you it's going to just like spark your curiosity of like, oh, what are they really talking about here? You could state a counterintuitive truth, expose a common mistake, make a bold claim. That's like, you see a lot of those hooks on social media, like, this feels illegal, or stop doing this. And it's like, what? Why are you making such a bold claim? I need to now watch the video to see what it's all about. I tend to try not to be too, clickbaity about it. But those are some of the helpful formulas that you could use, and I'll throw in a lot more into the final course. Then the lazy creator tip: your hook should be clear, not clever. Don't overthink it. And I might tweak that slightly, but it's just the idea that, like, that's me saying, like, it doesn't have to be clickbaity. If the value of your idea or the information that you're sharing is valuable enough, you don't have to be super clever. Um, just, just say what you're going to tell them and then tell them. Again, I think sometimes we're compensating for the idea not being strong enough if you're really trying to get too clever with your hooks. That was module 1. Um, I thought I'd go through that a lot quicker, but I just have so many like little things that I'd love to talk about. So maybe I'm even thinking about like the videos for all of these lessons and thinking about keeping the text super, condensed and actual like this, and then I'll just have videos that you can watch that add a little bit more context and provide some more rationale for all of these things. But yeah, again, really just want to make this the quickest course you take. Like, just imagine, you pay for something, you want results fast. Um, you don't want results, 6 months from now, and so unless that's the point of that course or that's the point of that program, but that's not the point of the Lazy Creator Blueprint. Module 2, lesson 5 is why you should talk to camera. This is another decision. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you want to do it the laziest way, which means it's going to take a lot less time, um, and you're going to be able to, have a little bit more boundaries and have more time for other things. I'm going to just tell you to be on camera, talk to the camera. Um, if you don't want to be lazy and you've got some other things that you want to try, that's totally fine. But the reason why this is the lazy way is it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Again, face-to-face connection is just so powerful. Thumbnails with faces on them, people connect more with. Content where you see a person in the first frame seems to usually do better. So face-to-face, that connection is just going to carry a lot of the heavy lifting of making a video worth watching. People want to talk to another person, especially now that things are becoming AI robots. People just, want to see that there's a face behind this. Talking to the camera creates instant value. So you don't need flashy visuals or heavy post production. We talked about that. I understand it's super uncomfortable at first, and you might need to like inch into it a little bit, or try a voiceover first, which is something I often recommend, and then try putting your face in it. And all that. But I promise you that if you just talk to camera and that's your video, that could be more than enough. But it's just the easiest way. So you imagine what I already talked to you about, like scripting and everything. You script it word for word, and then you record what's left to do. You just have to tighten things up maybe, but like if your script is good enough and you delivered it well, you might not even have any editing necessary. You just add you add some text, you add some captions, and you're done. So there's a lot of reasons why I just tell people you should just try to talk to camera. And maybe I need to add a few more ways to get over that hurdle, but I, other than just the fact that it will get easier, just do it and it'll get easier later on. So talk to camera, then set up a repeatable shooting space. Not everyone has a lot of spaces for this. A lot of people will go out and talk on the streets and just talk to themselves. That to me is a lot more embarrassing and scary to do. But this is a very recurring theme is I just find that if you have a shooting space, not only is it going to be easier to keep that routine because everything is consistent in your space, but the background that you have, if you set it up, get it kind of nice enough, that will do some of the heavy lifting for you as well. For example, if you've got some, good lighting, and that could just be as simple as like standing next to a window, and I'll have some examples and some screenshots and stuff of things you could try. You're just going to feel more confident because your setup looks nice. The other big thing is oftentimes the background works as a sort of visual hook. And I'll have some screenshots of different people with interesting backgrounds. Provides, and I say this, your background adds a little context. So that context is referring to the fact that like if you see a bunch of books in the background, you kind of think, oh, this person's going to share some knowledge, or you see some like if you see a computer or some designery stuff, or you just see that the lighting is nice, you're going to kind of associate that to the type of content you usually expect. So that having just kind of like putting a little bit of energy into your background will help sort of act as like a visual hook and visual context for the viewer. It doesn't need to be super distracting. You don't want it to be super distracting. But some bookshelves, some art, your workspace. A lot of times, and I've done this in some videos, I'll set up the camera so that it's facing my camera equipment or facing the my computer screens, because then people know like, oh, he's got a massive computer screen. He's probably like a creative designer or something. So they know to like, oh, I should pay attention to this video. I'm curious what this creative person has to say. Um, I'll add some lighting basics, but essentially, if you don't have any sort of like fancy lighting, just use natural light, go to a window. If the time that you're working is at night and you're shooting videos at nighttime, I am going to have a bunch of links to different really cheap products. I just use, for most of my videos, I have just used this cheap. It's like 15, maybe $30 on Amazon, but you really don't need more than like a simple ring light. And it doesn't have to be a ring light. You can get any sort of cheap light. I don't know why ring lights became so popular, but lights are just so cheap. You just prop it up kind of off in front of you, slightly off to the side, and you've got lighting down. So a repeatable shooting space. I think I should probably add in here too. The reason why you want a repeatable shooting space is the fact that once you put in that initial effort, you're not going to have to do it later on. So you've got that, repeatable system and routine going. So that's going to be super helpful. Lesson 7, lazy gear recommendations. I'm going to have a bunch of links in here, but essentially iPhone for shooting, CapCut for editing, teleprompter apps. Um, you can script anywhere, but then I'll make that more clear. Put that into the teleprompter app. The and then some links to different things. CapCut, obviously, people are worried about CapCut leaving, or some people might not even have access to it right now. There's plenty of other apps, and I'll have some different examples that you could use. You just need to be able to prop your phone up. A small tripod is great. You don't have to have a tripod. You could also just like prop it up on a book. And then there's a lot of mics out there. And I would probably recommend um, investing in getting a little iPhone mic that you can either attach to your iPhone, or it could be wireless from your iPhone to a little mic, be like a lavalier mic. And that just having good audio is going to make it so you don't feel like you have to do a lot of post production. Maybe feel like you have to clean up the audio or raise the audio levels and things like that. If you've got it all set up nice, it's going to be a lot lazier in the long run. But there's some really great affordable options. I also use just either just the Apple earbuds for a long time, because the mic on those are great. The you get like cheap $30. I think I got the Rode mic made for specifically iPhone USB-Cs. It was a lavalier mic that was wired. It wasn't wireless, and you just plugged it into the iPhone, and I just held it up. Because the iPhone, for some reason, it does pretty low audio levels when things are like plugged in right away. Anyways, that's shooting and setup as of right now. Everything's very work in progress. And even as I'm talking through it, it's like, okay, there's some things I want to add some context to and change. But again, this is about just making a lot of the decisions for you, because, yeah, if you're not doing it, odds are you're probably questioning a lot of things. You're like, oh, should I do this? Should I get that? Like if you are watching my stuff and you want to do anything similar or adjacent to it, do exactly what I'm telling you, and it's going to be a lot easier. Module 3, editing and overcoming mental hurdles. This is big for a lot of people. So lesson 8 is super easy because we put all of our effort into the idea, making sure the idea of the video is really solid. We put all of our effort into, keeping space, making like figuring out, deciding on a good space for making a video and making that repeatable. So now you really don't need to do any crazy transitions or effects, or you don't have to use templates. It's all about clean cuts. You're just cutting out the dead space, just, cinching everything up. And less is more. Keep it to like 30 to 45 seconds. If there's a sentence that you're like, this kind of seems off, just remove it and see if that helps. So remove the dead air, tighten the pacing. Really, it's all about letting the strength of your idea carry the video. Now, procrastination. My whole thing is just lower the bar, keep it super simple. You see a lot of videos out there that are crazy and flashy and all sorts of things, but I should just show you one video right now that I think shows what I mean here. You don't need to add a lot. So a while ago, I made a video called that one, this one, 3 creative job alternatives to ad agencies. And the whole video is just me sitting at my desk talking to the camera. I added a couple pictures here. That's actually more than I thought I did. But then the rest of the video really is just me talking to the camera. If I had raised the bar, I could add visuals for all of these little points that I'm talking about. There's 3 different job alternatives that I talk through. And I could make it a lot more exciting. I did actually put some effort into the cuts. I like punched in and pulled out and different things. But so maybe this isn't the best example. I've got some other examples too, where it's just like talking to camera. This one, distance makes you more creative. If the idea is strong, it's still going to get views. This video that I showed you of me just talking to camera about 3 creative job alternatives to ad agencies, it still did 91,000 views. And so your goal at the beginning should really be about getting in reps, building that routine. And if you've done all of the other stuff first, you're going to have valuable videos that other people are going to want to watch. So back to it, focus on reps, not perfection, set a time limit. I really love just like giving myself, okay, I've got an hour. I want to go to bed by, it's almost 10 p.m. here. So I want to go to bed by 11 p.m. After this video is done, I'm going to just give myself 1 hour to wrap everything up and then I'll be done. So, I think my record probably is like I've shot, not scripted. I had the script already, but I've shot and edited a video and then had it posted in 30 minutes before. And then that script had come from just like jotting down notes and kind of figuring out a script over different days of just, whether I was sitting on the couch or at work and had an idea for it. So that really helps just set a time limit. And then the last thing, overcoming embarrassment. There's a couple different like techniques you could do. Maybe you make a secret account and don't tell any of your family or friends. I did that with TikTok a year ago. I made a TikTok account that wasn't the one that I was following all my friends and family with. And then just started posting talking videos. Another optional thing that you can do is post a warning video. I did this for this summer when I decided I took a course and then decided I'm just going to do this whole short form video thing. And I posted a sort of a PSA style video of like, hey, I'm going to be making videos now. Unfollow if you don't want that, because I'm doing this because I like to do it and I want to get better at it. It's kind of related to my job, sort of a thing. Comedians do this a lot. It's like beating the haters to the punchline, or beat the haters to the punch. I think punchline makes more sense. The spoiler alert there is that there usually aren't haters. You'll be surprised just how many of your family and friends are supportive of you. And if you really you're worried about what family and friends think, then make a secret account, make a different account, don't tell people about it. But your video could literally just be like, hey, my friends, I really want to get better at content because it's important for my work. So unfollow now if you don't want any of that. My video was something like, I can't remember, maybe we go through and check it out. So I had done art stuff for a while and it was kind of like plateauing. And then I decided, hey, I'm going to just do this whole creator thing. It was this one. Oh, yeah. It said, the 2024 content strategy for full-time creatives is not to quit your job and go full-time influencer mode. I was just essentially poking fun at myself, that I would want to maybe go full-time creative, but not go full-time influencer or something. I don't know. Anyways, it was my way of kind of putting it out there, of like giving people a warning, that, hey, this is coming. And it's not for others. Really, no one cares, but it's kind of for you. Um, that it just makes you feel better and less embarrassed that you've sort of called yourself out first. Um, Again, people are going to be supportive, and this last one is really important for creatives. I'm going to add that, especially important for creatives. Your content is a tool, not your masterpiece. I think that's huge for creatives and artists because your taste level is so high and you're, working on different things for work, or you're making art, or you're doing, for me, I make commercials and I make video stuff, and I come up with campaigns for big brands. And then you come over to social media and all of a sudden you're like, well, this had better meet my standard, right? Like this better be just as good as the other stuff that I do. Otherwise, people are going to think I'm terrible. But I just really think it's important to remind yourself that your social media, it's not art. It is not the it could be, sometimes your videos could be art, but if you're doing the lazy creator way, social media is not your art. For me, it's a lot of times it's just information. It's talking to people. It's connecting with the community. So just try your best to not make it your masterpiece mentally. I hope that helps you just lower the bar and lower your expectations, because if you're trying to make it perfect, you're just going to paralyze yourself and you're not going to get anything out. So some of the things I'm still working on. I talked about starter ideas. I just want to like give you a bunch of free ideas. Do this, don't do this, try this. And some of those ideas might be like, for myself, I have found that sharing tools that help me in my job have been super valuable and perform really well and help me connect with my community. Think of resources and tools in your job that you could just share. Share the secrets. There's way too much gatekeeping. Just give it all away, and that will help you, have a valuable idea for a video that people would want to watch. So stuff like that. I'm going to add some starter ideas like, make this, make that. Um, and those could be pillars of content, but I don't necessarily want to like strategize for you or make it too complicated. So that comes later as you've been doing videos for a while. Um, I'm gonna add like a sort of simple roadmap and checklist, even with how efficient and condensed I want to make this. As you're going through, it does start to feel like, okay, wait, I'm this far into the content, but should I be focusing on this, or should I still be focusing on that, or where am I? And I just want to add a little checklist somewhere where you know exactly like, what you should be working on when, or try to make a video in week one, then try to make 3 videos in week two, different things like that. So I'm going to come up with a little bit of a roadmap. And then sort of, maybe it's a module, or maybe it's just sort of a wrap up video that kind of leads into what to do next. But for the most part, especially if you're working full time, you probably don't need to be focusing on building this crazy strategy or building out a massive content dashboard for all this kind of stuff. You can kind of go video by video, keep it simple, focus on your ideas, focus on your scripts, and then work on that kind of stuff later. But that's gonna be in a separate section. Anyways, if you're interested in this course at all, even though you just got a whole lot of value out of it, um, I'm going to be selling the course at a later date, launching later this next month, February. It's almost February. And there's a wait list linked in the description of this video that you can sign up for. It gives a little bit of a spiel on what it is, which I already talked to you about. I'm currently building it, so it's in the works, but I'm building the most efficiently lazy course you'll ever buy on making short form video content. No fluff, just the straight up process for making content that can change your career. It's changed mine. Um, but still was able to fit into my lazy creative life. So if that's interesting to you and you want to take it, the final course is likely going to be like $200-ish, maybe like 150 to $200. But right now, if you're on the wait list and you want to get the course, it'll be just $79. And that will be available to anyone. I pre-launch the course. I'll probably end up making this Notion doc available, or at least getting the text into the course sooner in the month, so that people can start, reviewing all this and start making content even before the videos are in that explain other pieces and all the links to the gear. So that'll be available soon. But when the course launches and it costs more for everyone else, I'll make sure that everyone on the wait list gets it for just $79. So that's linked in the description. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. One part of the form asks if you have any suggestions or feedback for this, what you hope to learn. If you do, because you've now just seen everything I'm planning, if you do have any suggestions, feel free to drop those in there, or just leave a comment um, on the video or in the chat, and I'll make sure to touch upon it or figure out a way to make this course super valuable for you. That is the Lazy Creator Blueprint. Essentially, my way of making everything as easy for you as possible, because I realize we have lives, we have hobbies, we have families, and I've done a lot of work to try to figure out how to fit content creation into my life. So this has been the way that's made it the laziest for me. I didn't really give a preamble at the beginning of my whole thing with being lazy. If you know me, you know that I'm probably like the furthest from lazy in a lot of ways. But I find it's a really good way of encapsulating a lot of my values of making things efficient, um, having boundaries and balance, and it's a great hook. It's counterintuitive, so the fact that I use it to own this whole philosophy um, just helps me kind of like cut to the chase and tell you and explain exactly what it's all about. Thanks guys so much for watching. It's been a true pleasure. Let me know if you have any feedback for these live streams as well. It's already 10 p.m. here in New York City, live streaming from the Upper West Side. It's been a fun episode of the Toolbox podcast, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, everybody.